Hello, welcome to New Harvest Christian Fellowship, Manchester, England, and thank you for subscribing to our sermon podcast. The message you're about to hear was recorded live at one of our recent services. We pray it will be a blessing to your life, and if you'd like to get in touch with us, we'll give you our contact information at the end of the recording. Thank you once again. Enjoy the preaching.
God, I was thinking that we come to church for multiplied different reasons, okay? I think sometimes we come for encouragement, which is good. And I hope in the worship service, when you sing songs, that you get encouraged. If we don't sing, it's kind of hard to be encouraged because we're just listening to the songs, and we've heard them 1,000 times sometimes, you know. But that's not the point. The point is those are important songs that we sing. So I hope you come to get encouraged. I hope you also come to learn some things, maybe about God, learn some things about yourself, because that's important. We get so busy going through life that sometimes we fail to slow down enough to think about God. Even reading devotions sometimes doesn't get us that focus that we need. So hopefully in church you learn some things about God. I pray also, and this one's a little touchy, but I pray also, and I use this word challenge, I pray that you are challenged and that we push on some areas maybe that need to change in your life, in our life together, collectively as a church. We try to do that with dignity and respect. I know that my personality sometimes is provocative type of personality, and if I've crossed a line or two in that area, I sincerely apologize. My intentions are always just to challenge God's people to greater Christian living, to be able to be closer to the Lord and to be able to reach more people. That is my goal. So if you come for any of those reasons, you're in a good place tonight. And hopefully you can receive from God today. I want to just talk about having a hunger for God, about being in your life just hungry for the Lord. The Bible says in the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse number 6, that's the Beatitudes. You remember that whole list that Jesus gave at the Sermon on the Mount. And most of the time, and rightfully so, we focus on blessings, because that's what the Beatitude means. Blessed is the person who does this. Blessed is the person who has this. Blessed is the person who lives like this. Those are all important and all good. But in this one particular verse here, it gives us our attitude, our disposition towards God, the way we need to approach God. Because while God is not some God that needs to be approached in a religious manner, neither is he just some friend that's just down the street that we have a cup of tea with. It has to be a different type of manner. And the book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse 6 says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." This is the correct attitude, not only towards righteousness, but towards God himself. This attitude of hungering and thirsting. The word hungry and hunger means to have a strong desire or even a craving. And I would like to say to you today that this is the way that God expects his people to approach him, with a strong desire to know him and to be around him and to be consumed by him in a good way. See, I want to tell you that we look at people who are hungry for the Lord as something special. Sometimes we go, wow, that guy really has a hunger for the Lord. That sister really is thirsting for the things of God. And we look at like they've achieved some special status before God. But I'm here to say to you, that should be the norm. That should be the default attitude of the people of God, hungering and thirsting for the things of God. As a pastor, sometimes often, have to field a lot of problems that go on with people in their lives, in the church, conflicts, issues that need to be sorted out and straightened out. And sometimes I just think, how is this all going to get sorted? How do we get like this? Why is this such a big problem with certain people? And the reason is because there is a lack of hunger for God. There's more of a focus on the here and now and how I feel. And self is now rising up. And we have a hunger and thirst for what we want rather than what God wants. And so I want to try to tell you that every healthy body develops hunger, doesn't it? It's telling you something when you're hungry. See, the problem in our generation is we don't know much about hunger. People, it gets, I'll say it like this, when it gets time to eat, we say things like, well, what do you have a taste for? You know, and when you think about it, I say it all the time, and people say that to me all the time. What do you have a taste for? And you know, that's how we judge how we consume food, by what the taste that we want. Not, hey, are you hungry? Oh, my stomach, I'm so hungry, I'm starving, I could eat anything, I don't care, just give me food. I crave sustenance. You know, rarely are we like that. We just want to dibble and dabble and get the things that we like to just taste. We love buffets. You know, that's one of the things that you've inherited from the United States is we have buffets, all you can eat buffets. You know, Thai food, American food, Indian food. We put it all together. Pick your type of food. And I'll have a little of this and a little of that. We put foods together that we would never put together in a normal setting because we want to taste. And that's how it is sometimes our attitude towards God, folks, is we're just wanting to sample. Lord, I need a little blessing here. Lord, I'd like to try this. Oh, I think I'll run here and do this and do that. When God is saying, look at blessed are those who hunger and thirst for me. A body that's hungry is telling you that its resources are running low. It's time to replenish. When you have a hunger for God, it's saying, I need more of you, God. Not, and stick with me here, not more of your blessings. There's nothing wrong with His blessing, but that's not what we hunger for. We hunger for Him. We hunger for His plan and His desires. Are you with me here today? See, hunger is a normal and necessary part of every human being. It needs to be a normal and necessary part of every Christian, a hunger. Now, what happens if you don't have hunger? What do you do then, you know? See, as a body, if you have a body, it'll just naturally, you'll eventually eat something. You'll go after it. But what happens if there's no hunger for us? What do? It needs to be developed. It needs to be developed. You're going to have to do some things to begin to develop a hunger for God, a spiritual hunger. There's a scripture that I think will help us. It's out of the King James Version. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 16 and verse 15 through 18. And it's talking here about some active Christians. Some Christians who are involved in their church. And more than that, they're involved with people in their church, in their congregation. And the Bible uses some very clear words here that I think help us to see how we can develop a hunger as well. 1 Corinthians chapter 16 and verse 15, he says, I beseech you, brethren. He says, ye know the house of Stephanas, that it is the first fruits of Achaia, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. Wow. He's writing here to the Corinthians saying, hey, I'm begging of you, but first I want to remind you about, this house of Stephanas? They're addicted to ministry. They're addicted to working with people. They're addicted to serving people and helping people and encouraging people and challenging people and doing all that is necessary to minister to people. They've addicted themselves to this. And then in verse 16 he says, that ye submit unto such. He's saying, Corinthians, this is the kind of people you should be hanging around with. This is the kind of people you should listen to and even submit to. He says, and to everyone that helpeth with us and laboreth. Help, labor, normal things that Christians do. How many know that when you go out to work and you start working, at some point in your work day, you start saying, boy, I could use something to eat. It's time to eat. I can't wait for lunch. When's lunch? Let's go eat lunch. At the end of the day, you're like, I can't wait to get home and have my tea. I can't wait to eat. I hope there's something good. Maybe we should go out. Whatever the case may be, you're wanting to eat because you've labored, you've helped. It builds something in you. It builds a hunger, not just for more labor, even though it does. That's why the house of Stephanas was addicted, because you get addicted by doing one thing and liking it, doing it again and liking it. Then you want more and more to the point where I've got to do this every day. I've got to do this all the time. It's who I am. I've had the unfortunate reality in my life of being addicted to things that were not good. And I can tell you, there were times in my life, Grace knows, where I said, this is who I am. It wasn't good. I shouldn't have been like that. But it was who I was. I thought, this is how I was born to be like this. It was a lie. But I felt like that because I had been doing the same thing over and over again to the point of addiction. Same thing is in the things of God, because we were born to serve. We were born to praise Him. We were born to glorify Him. We were born to be part of His team. Can you say amen? And when you do it over and over and over, you can't wait till the next time. You can't wait till the next time. You can't wait till you get another opportunity. Sure, I'll serve. Count me in. I'll put my name down. I'll be there. I'll do this. What do you need? I will perform it for you. Why? Because you're addicted. You're addicted. And he says, submit unto these, everyone that helps and labors. He said, I'm glad of the coming of Stephanas and Fortunatus and Achaicus. Man, I did pretty good with those names, huh? For that which was lacking on your part, they have supplied, for they have refreshed my spirit and yours. Therefore acknowledge ye them that are such. Well, let's talk about this. People who are hungry like the house of Stephanas and those that are like the house of Stephanas, they produce something. They produce fruit. They're fruitful people. They have things that are tangible evidence that they're in connection with God. And in verse 17, we see that they supplied the lack that was needed. They were able to meet a need, fulfill a gap. They were able to fill in something that was missing. That's what people who are hungry for God and hungry for the things of God do, is they fill in what's missing. They come in and they say, yeah, what is needed, and they do it, and when they do it, God blesses them for it. It's something that's happening in them. We see in verse 18, it says, for they have refreshed my spirit and yours. People who are addicted to the ministry of the saints, people who are hungry for God, are those that refresh people. What do you bring with you when you enter a room? Every one of us brings something when we enter a room. When you come into the room, do people go, oh no? Do you suck all the life out of a room? Do you command everybody, look at me, look at me, look at me? Or when you come into somebody's presence, do you bring encouragement? One of the things a lot of things that come with being a pastor are not things that I actually enjoy, and it makes it a little bit difficult sometimes. And one of the things is, like, sometimes I just want to chat with people, you know. I just want, hey, how you doing? And what's going on? What sports you like? You know, this kind of thing. But sometimes I'll go up and I'll talk to people and they'll just stop talking. It happened the other day, didn't it, guys? They were there and they were talking, and I was, I'm going to get in their conversation. I come up, they just go, like, the pastor's here. Don't talk about that. What does he want? Did you want something? Do you have need? I guess that's all I do is come up, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? But the truth is that we need to be able to have relationship with people so that we can refresh people. What do you bring when you bring into the room? What do you bring when you come to church? Do you just flop down and... Or do you bring into church life and victory and service and whatever it is that God is putting on your heart? What good thing do you bring? It's like this. I remember when our kids were small, I always wanted to come home and have my kids say, "Dad's home." I didn't want them to go, "Dad's home, everybody run." And you know, some of you came from homes like that. When your father showed up, it was like, "Oh, Lord, don't say nothing. Shh, quiet, don't say it." See, what do you bring? What do you bring? What atmosphere do you bring? A lot of what you bring depends on your hunger for God. And I want to move on to a couple of verses here. And tell you first, we develop the hunger by being active for God, addicting ourselves to the ministry that God has laid out for us. There's more than that, though, deeper than that. And I think Philippians chapter 3 and verse 10 in the Amplified Translation, it lays it out for us very well. Paul writes and says, "For my determined purpose is that I may know him." That I may know him. I want you to see what's in parentheses. That's what you call those, right? We call them parentheses. Yes? Okay, parentheses. My determined purpose is, it wasn't his casual desire or the thing he just happened to fall into. It was his determined purpose. It was a focus of his life. And he says, the determined purpose is that I may know him. I probably told you this before because I learned it when I was a very young convert. I've never forgot it. But that word know is not just an intellectual knowledge, but the Greek word that's used there is experiential knowledge. That means he got it in his head and then he lived it out. He got to know God not just through pages on a book, but he got to know God through the pages of his life and the way that he lived his life, and that came out, and that's what he said he wanted to know God more of. My determined purpose is to experience God. And then he says that I may progressively become more deeply and intimately acquainted with him, perceiving and recognizing and understanding the wonders of his person more strongly. See, do you see the huge difference between that and religiosity? You'll never find this in ceremony. You're not going to come into a church that does ceremony and repetitive action and find that. You're not going to find that in your life if you just live in a repetitive way. You have to set out in your heart, I want to know him. I want my knowledge of him to be progressive. That means it's moving forward. I want a progressive knowledge of him. I want to be deeply and intimately acquainted with him. See, do you know that a lot of us want to know him deeply, but we don't want to put the time in that's required? See, you're not going to know God in this manner through just a casual wake up in the morning, wash your hair out, and okay, I got my divorce, I got to get to work. You know, and then when I come home, I'm going to go play football with the guys and shopping with the ladies, and you're never going to do it like that. It's going to take much, much more. And you say, as some people say, well, I don't have time. That's not true. We all have the exact same amount of time. No one here gets extra time. Some of us actually get less time at the end of our life, but while we're alive, we all get the same amount of time. The question is what you do with your time and who you let invade your time. Who you let take your time. What takes your time? What desire of your heart takes the time? And I don't want to rant on this too much, but I do want to tell you that's the problem. That's the problem. Look how he wants to know him. He goes, I want to perceive him and recognize him. See, I want to know God just not when I'm studying, but I want to perceive him in my daily affairs. I want to recognize that he was in the midst. Because God doesn't come down and put on skin like a person and sit down and say, how you doing? I'm God. How you been? Hey, let's get to know each other. I'm God. He doesn't do that. He's mysterious in some senses, and you can't see him. So I want to recognize him. I want to know, was that God or was that not God? Was this great thing that happened in my life, can I give attribution to God on that? Or is that something that I just say, it wasn't God? I need to know, and I can't know that unless I know him. Unless I know him. See, one thing, and your kids are the same as mine. My kids always know when it's me. They can tell by the tone of my voice. They can tell by the way I walk. If you notice, I have a little strange gait in the way that I walk. It's a little strange gait. They can even hear my shoe steps because they know that's the way that my gait stomps the feet when I come around. They know that it's there. Hey, Papa's here. Dad's here. These things, they know me that way because they've been around me so much. Do you know God like that? Because you must have a hunger for that. You must have a desire for God in that sense. Can I have you turn into Psalm 63? Show you another passage, Psalms 63. This is talking about being hungry for God, hungry for God. This is a psalm of David when he was in the wilderness. When he was in that experience where he felt isolated from all people. But sometimes God allows you to be isolated from people, not like leave the church and go live on a desert island, but where you're walking in the midst of people, but it seems like you're not fitting in, or you're not really connecting the way that you desire to, or you see other people over here laughing and having a good time, but you don't feel like that because you're in the wilderness. Other people are blessed. They got a pocket full of cash and things seem to be going smooth for them. They just got a new job and things seem to be being blessed for them, but your life doesn't seem to be like that. You might be in the wilderness. And what David writes when he's in the wilderness is a real eye-opener. It's an indicator of what it means to be hungry for God. Sometimes God lets you get into that situation where it's like either you're going to die or it's going to be God. Either the only survival mode, spiritually speaking, is accept God and follow God and go after God and be passionate for God. Because without that, you're just going to go down and be like every other backslider, every other lukewarm Christian, every other non-believer. See, and here's what he writes. Are you with me now at Psalm 63? Verse 1, he says, "O God, you are my God. Early will I seek you." Some of you, that's a tough one right there. Early will I seek you. The point is not so much that he got up early in the morning, but it was like first thing. You're my priority. You come before everything else. You're more important than breakfast. You're more important than whatever it is I'm going to do in the day. You're at the top of the list, God. That's how you hunger for him. He says, "Early will I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh longs for you in a dry and thirsty land where there is no water. So I have looked for you in the sanctuary." I have looked for you. Do you look for God? As you read through your devotions, as you read through a book of the Bible or a chapter of the Bible, do you look for God in those pages? I mean, obviously, many of the chapters talk about God. They talk about the Lord. That's all that it is. The Old Testament is just an account of what God did. The book of Acts is like the Acts of the Apostles, but it's really the Acts of the Holy Spirit. It's the Acts of God. We see that. God's in all the pages, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, do you see something deeper? Is it something that's unique for you? Not something that you can go share and show off and say, "Hey, look what I found. I learned something you didn't learn." But something that says, "Wow, God, this is so for me that I can't hardly even explain it to somebody else. I just have found you in the pages." He says, "So I've looked for you in the sanctuary." There's a reason why we call, and most churches do this, call the area where the preaching is the sanctuary, the area where the worship is the sanctuary, because that's the place that's isolated from the rest of the world. It's a place where we can meet with God. It's a tranquil place, a peaceful place. Sometimes that's not always possible to have a perfectly peaceful and tranquil atmosphere in your home, especially if you have little kids or a busy situation where you're at. But you can always find a place. You can always find a place. You know, when I was doing drugs as a young man, and I remember I would always find a place where I could do drugs and no one would know. A place where I could always sit and smoke, sit and pop, sit and do things, you know. Because I just wanted to, I didn't care about them. I wanted to be into my own little thing. You know, with God, you can always find a place to look for Him. To look for Him. I look for you in the sanctuary to see your power and your glory. To see your power and your glory. You know what I love about this passage? There's not one thing that says, God, I need you to bless me. I need you to meet my need. I need you to help me. Not that those are evil things, but it's like too much of one thing is always bad. Some of you have health problems because you eat too much sugar. You eat too much salt. You eat too much red meat. You eat too much dairy. I'm sorry to pick on you today, but, you know, those are things that happen, right? Too much of one thing. And that's what we do sometimes. We want too much of this one thing of God. You listen to most modern worship songs, and I'm not criticizing them. I sing them. I love them. I listen to them. They're blessings, but they focus just on that. And that's why we have to begin to get more of our relationship with God from places other than just modern contemporary worship services. This is why the Word of God is so important to our lives. So we can see His power. Just see it. Just see it. I don't have to be part of it. I don't have to have it apply to me directly. If I can just see it, that's good enough. If I can just see you moving in someone's life, in a circumstance, in a situation, I'm blessed, God. I want to see your glory. Not so I can have your glory, but so I can acknowledge your glory. And he finishes with a statement that very few Christians can say, because your loving kindness is better than life. I want your loving kindness more than I want life. I want you more than I want stuff. I want all that you want more than all that I want. See, that's so important, and yet so extremely rare in today's Christianity. My lips shall praise you. Whenever you come to church, if you get nothing out of this and don't know where to start, let's start with this. When you come to church, sing every song. Sing every song. You say, well, I can't sing. Well, you're in my club. We're in the club. There's a reason why I don't lead songs in this church, because we drive everybody out of the church if I led songs. But I sing every song. I sing all that Grace knows. She hears me. I think she puts a little cotton in her ear on that side. But I'm not singing to win a singing contest. I'm not singing to make people happy next to me. I'm singing to praise my God. He knows what kind of voice I got. He knows what kind of ears I have, what I can hear and what I can't. He knows all those things. And when I sing to Him, it's from the Kora, it's from the heart, it's from the inside. And that's what God is looking for. My lips shall praise you. So start there. Praise Him every day. Praise Him every day. Every day before you open the book, say, Lord, I praise you for good things. I praise you for this, for that. Be specific. And before you know it, you'll be saying 10 minutes worth of praises before you even open the Bible. Because you'll just be thanking Him for all the good things. Because now you're developing a hunger. Today, my desire is to start you on a pathway of hungering after God. Our theme of our conference is pursue. We want to pursue God. And we're going to talk about that in the conference. We're going to also try to find ways in our conference to be able to reach other people and pursue that so that we can become like the house of Stephanus, addicted to the ministry of the saints, so that we can be doing what God wants. The Bible says the Son of Man came but to seek and to save that which was lost. When we're hungering after God, we're hungering after what he wants. He wishes that none should perish, all should come to repentance. Are you with me today? This is the desire. This should be the goal. Some people are more, well, I'm going to stop there. That's it. That's it. Let's bow our heads and pray today. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord God. We worship you today.
If you've been blessed or challenged by today's preaching and you'd like to get in touch with us, the easiest way is via our website at www.newharvestuk.com. You can email us at info@newharvestuk.com or look us up on Facebook or Twitter. You can call us on 0161 278 6305, or you can even write to us at 194 Chapel Street, Salford, Manchester, M3 6BY. We'd also like to extend a warm welcome for you to join us at any of our services. However you might be feeling and whatever you might have been told, know this: God loves you and there's a place for you in his kingdom. God bless you, we're praying for you, and once again, thank you for listening.